Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Korfiatis, and I run a business called Jennifer Korfiatis Marketing. I'm headquartered out of Wenatchee, Washington, and I've been asked to talk to you today about marketing strategy, target markets, and also customer relationship management. First of all, congratulations to each of you for making the decision to try your hand at entrepreneurship. I'm very excited for each of you. I myself have owned 4 businesses, and it is a fun and wild ride that is incredibly rewarding. So congratulations to each of you. So marketing strategy is one of those topics that I think sometimes those of us that operate in the world of marketing or even in academia try to make more complicated than it needs to be. I'm a real big proponent of keeping things simple, and that's what I'm going to do for you today. When we think about what is encompassed under the umbrella of marketing strategy, there's really 2 key components. The first half of the equation is called the marketing mix. Now, you may have heard of this before as the 4 Ps of marketing. They are, in no particular order, your product, which I'm betting by now you've given considerable time and attention to really becoming clear about what your product is, or your service for that matter. Your place, so where can your customers access or purchase your product or service? Your price, so what is it that what will be the unit of value in exchange for this product or service that you will be providing? Now, if I had my magic wand, I would wave it and move the concept of pricing strategy out of the School of Business and plop it down in the School of Psychology. Because one thing we know about pricing is that it has, while it does have considerations in terms of the components, the costs that go into producing your product or service, we really need to think about it from the objective value standpoint, which means what will some potential customer be willing to pay for whatever it is you're providing or selling? And that actually has less to do with what it costs you to make that product or produce that service, and more to do with how they value it. The final P of the marketing mix is promotion, and I'll come back to that in just a little bit. For all intents and purposes, the product, the place, and the price are all internal decisions made by you, the owner of your business. Promotion is as well. However, it is the most public-facing P in the marketing mix equation. The other side of marketing strategy is your target market. Now, oftentimes when I speak to new or even current entrepreneurs, one of the first questions I ask them is, who is your target market? And really what I want to know is, who is your best chance of a customer? Now, it's not unusual for an entrepreneur who's very enthusiastic for their business and very much convinced of the attributes and the features of their product or service to believe that everybody is their customer or will be their customer or will want whatever it is they're selling or providing. And unfortunately, that's simply not true. The more effective way to think about this is through the lens of target market analysis. Target market analysis is really categorizing everybody into buckets of similarity. So the way that we do that, the actual name for the process is called segmentation. We start with everybody in a geographic area. Now, this could be your town, it could be the state of Washington, it could be the West Coast, or it could be the entire country or the entire world. Let's think about this through the lens of the state of Washington. So whatever your business will be providing or selling, we have to think about who is most likely to be interested in what you're providing or selling, and then act on that desire. So if we take everybody within the boundary of the state of Washington, we want to categorize them based on demographic and psychographic variables into target markets so that we can approach each target market with one promotional message about our business, our product, or our service through one medium, and have every member of that target market see and interpret and understand that message in the same way. So let's think about what demographic and psychographic variables are. When I first learned this concept many years ago, I learned demographic variables like this. Demographic variables are the nuts and bolts that make you who you are. They are the foundation of who you are as a person. The major demographic variables include your age. I think we can all understand that people of different generations see the world differently and view products and have different media choices as well. Gender, so I think we can all understand that men and women just simply see the world differently and use and consume products in different ways. Your occupation, we generally think about this through the lens of blue collar versus white collar. Your geography, so here we are in the state of Washington, but if we were in, let's say, the state of New York, our demand for products and our media choices and habits would likely look very different. Our income. So the concept being, if we remove credit from the equation, a consumer that makes minimum wage has a different demand for products than somebody that makes, say, $100,000 a year. Marital status. So those who, or individuals who are married have different purchasing patterns than those who are not married. Same thing with children. So a family or a person that has children has a different demand on the choices they make from a purchasing standpoint than folks who don't have children. So when we think about demographic variables, we take everyone, in our example, the state of Washington, and we begin to identify our best chance of a customer using those major variables. The second element of target market analysis includes psychographic variables. So if demographic variables are the nuts and bolts that make us who we are, psychographic variables are those variables that make us interesting. They include our hobbies, our attitudes, our values, and our beliefs. Let me share with you an example. I recently upgraded my cell phone about a week ago, and was getting ready to purchase a new phone. I was talking about it with my family, which consists of me, my husband, who is about the same age. I won't tell you how old we are, but let me just say that I went to college for my undergraduate degree with no access to the internet because the internet barely existed. And then our 18-year-old son, who is a recent high school graduate. So the three of us were talking about what each of us demands out of a cell phone. Now, if we can understand that a cell phone, let's say an Android or an Apple, the product is the product. It doesn't change based on who we're talking to. How we purchase that product is what it is. We buy it in different ways. That doesn't change based on who we are. And the cost for that cell phone remains fixed. It does not change or fluctuate based on who's doing the purchasing. As my son and husband and I were having this conversation about what we each needed out of a cell phone, I was talking about the need for a large storage, large memory. I take a lot of photos of my family, of my dogs, etc., and I store them all on my phone, and I really only remove them from my phone maybe once a year if I'm lucky. My husband, who works remotely and is on his phone for work all the time, needs really, really long battery life. He also, because he creates videos for people that he works with, needs a good camera. And then, of course, our son, probably no surprise, needed to be able to maneuver between his favorite apps really seamlessly. And he wanted to have access to an app store with everything that he could ever possibly want. So as the three of us were talking about our needs for that particular product, it became clear very quickly that they were different. Now let's go back to the product. So if we are Android or if we are Apple, the product is fixed, the place is fixed, the price is fixed. But what, say, a company like Apple says to me about their product to get my interest and create that action on that desire, get me to actually buy the phone, which should be lots of memory storage. Take all the photos you want, store them on your phone. This will not slow down its efficiency. You can still use it as you normally would. Tons of storage. What Apple would say to my husband is really long battery life, great camera with access to make, upload, and edit videos very, very easily. What Apple would say to our son is great app store, really seamless integration and ability to move amongst and between the different apps that you use. And you can have lots of apps open at the same time and the phone won't slow down. The product doesn't change. The place doesn't change. The price doesn't change. But what the brand or the company or your business says about the product is dependent upon the needs of the target market. If we don't clearly understand who we're talking to through demographic and psychographic variables and their needs for our product, the message will be lost. So it's really important when we think about marketing strategy to become very clear about the product, the place, the price, and the promotion, and who we are talking to. Now, the other important point about target market analysis is using me and my husband and our son as the example. We all have very different media habits and media preferences and media choices. So if Apple wants to promote its iPhone to somebody like me, it would be best served to do it through, let's say, women's fashion magazines, and let's say cable news channels like E! Entertainment Television, etc. What Apple, the media choices that a company like Apple would use to attract the interest of my husband would be men's outdoor magazines and various radio programs that he tends to listen to. If Apple wants to reach our son, it would use media choices like social media because that's what he pays attention to. So not only does the message become dictated by our target market, but so do our media choices. And that's how we get promotion to work. So marketing strategy really is quite simple. Well, it's a complex concept, but it's simple in nature. It's our marketing mix, our product, our place, our price, and our promotion, and then a really careful analysis of our target market or target markets. Now, I often get asked by entrepreneurs how many target markets can be in process at any given time. And the answer, unfortunately, is it depends. In my long professional experience, the most that I have ever been able to work with effectively and efficiently has been 10, which is a lot. I would really encourage you to think carefully about keeping the number maybe around 4 or 5 and doing a really good job with targeted promotions to those primary audiences. Now, the other question that I often get asked is, what should I say to my target market? Now, you know your products and services better than anybody at this point. My answer is always, what does your target market care about? So whatever values or needs they have from your type of product, what you promote is the answer to those needs. Now, another question that I get asked a lot is, how do I develop a relationship with my customers? So I think we can all understand or believe that the research shows pretty clearly that it's far more cost effective to acquire a customer and then put our resources toward keeping them as a customer than it is to move into what's often called a burn and churn philosophy, where we acquire a customer, sell them something one time, and move on to the next customer and never look back. That customer retention focus is called customer relationship management. Now, there are many, many, many different ways to do it. Some ways can be very sophisticated and resource intense, meaning expensive. But there are lots of ways to develop and build and facilitate a relationship with our customers that cost less in terms of money, but perhaps more in time. I encourage business owners to think about the information and the data that they have at their disposal. So that could be customer contact information. So if you're operating an e-commerce platform, odds are you have access to their email address. What can you do as a business owner in terms of communication and outreach to deliver content and information to that customer that is of value. If you're operating out of a physical location, what customer contact information do you have access to? My guess is it's probably pretty simple to collect mailing information or your mailing addresses or email addresses. Can you record purchasing patterns so you know what days of the week those customers access your store on? That way, if it's been a while since you've seen a customer in your store, what can you do in terms of outreach to help that customer believe that you notice that they haven't been in your store in a while? You know, as the internet and e-commerce has grown in prevalence and become such a large component of our everyday life, one of the outcomes of that is, as consumers, thankfully, we have more choices to access businesses than we've ever had before. When we believe that a business sees us and notices when we are either a frequent customer or perhaps we have not been a customer in some time, that helps us feel valued. And I really think at the end of the day, as consumers, we just want to feel noticed and appreciated by the businesses that we choose to support. So what can you do through your existing channels to help your customers feel valued and noticed? I'm located in Wenatchee, Washington, and there is a pet store in Wenatchee that does a really fantastic job of this. They encourage their customers to bring their pets into their store to help, quote unquote, help them with the shopping. And when a customer brings their dog or cat into this particular store, the employees take a picture of either the animal or the animal and its owner. And they upload to their social media channels a little story about that pet and owner family. So they often share the name of the pet and how old the pet is, and maybe even a little bit about how that pet came to be a family member within that family. It's a really neat way. It's a fun thing that people enjoy following. And it's a neat thing that has served this business well in terms of growing loyalty within its existing customer base. All right, guys, thanks very much for taking the time to think through marketing strategy and customer relationship management. I wish you all the success in the world. The Washington State Department of Commerce has done a tremendous job with these master classes, and my hope is that you'll be able to pull out relevant real-world information that you can use for success in your business.